Hello and welcome back to WagerTalk TV. This is the KBO betting show. Myself, Andrew McInnis, joined once again by Dave Cokin. And we've got a good amount of games here today, or a good set of matchups, I should say, pitching matchups, that is, as well. We had to deal with a cancellation or a postponed game this morning, a game that my clients were supposed to be on, which is the LG Twins game. Dave, how are you doing this morning, or how was your games this morning?
Well, I missed with the Heroes. Fortunately, I played at runs line, so it didn't cost that much. But they got shut down by a guy who had not been going well last night, so kind of wasted a good effort by the Joker. We got 6 games on the schedule today because there's a doubleheader, and that did create a change of pitchers in the Wyverns Twins doubleheader now because they've moved Pinto into the first game for the Wyverns. So no line on the second game, obviously, but for those who follow the old Major League Baseball doubleheader angle, might want to wait for the result in the first game and see if you can go for the split in the second game.
Definitely. So without further ado, I guess we'll get right into it here. So it looks to me, Dave, do you want to start with the Kia Tigers game, or do you want to start with that SK?
Well, the Tigers and Wiz is the first game in the rotation.
Right.
And Tigers a pretty good-sized favorite here. Not huge, but minus 150-ish range. Let me see. Let me check my numbers and see what the latest line is on it. Yeah, about. Well, it's actually going up some. It's about 155. Seeing a high of 172, low of 151 in the game, and were it not for the phenomenal struggles of the Hanwha Eagles, the Wiz would be getting a lot more attention for their recent struggles. They've lost 6 in a row, and last night this morning I should say, a 10-0 defeat, and that was only a 5-inning game. Because the weather got involved. So it's not going well for them. And the problem for the Wiz continues to be the pitching. And their bullpen has been really bad. And that's a problem tonight or in the Thursday game because they're starting a bullpen guy here due to some injuries. They've had to move one of their bullpen guys into the rotation, so he doesn't figure to go that long. And this means you're probably looking at 4 or 5 pitchers for the Wiz in this game. That should be good news for the Tigers, who are obviously hitting the ball pretty well right now. They've got Lee on the mound tonight. He's had 3 of his last 4 starts have been quality starts. His outing against the Wiz earlier this season was not real good, not awful, but I wouldn't put it in the good category either. Hopefully they have more success against them tonight. I think the Tigers are going to draw the money here, and I can't argue against it.
I definitely agree, and I think it's important to mention as well, KT, obviously you mentioned their pitching, Dave, but I think that a lot of their wins that they were getting, even with their poor pitching, was being held together by a decent amount of runs, and now that's really came to a halt. You look at that, I'm really happy you mentioned that as well. Just the 5 innings. It wasn't a full game. It was just the 5 innings. That's a lot of runs to give up. So I feel the exact same way you do, but we look at this number, and we're not getting the best number here. Either way, but I think that, like you said, we've been talking about this for so long. Look at a run line possibility and ride the hotter team and fade the cold. And I think that, I'm just completely disregarding money lines at this point, Dave. I'm not sure about yourself. I mean, I'm just.
Well, no, it depends on the game. I mean, if it's a close money line, then, and I have an opinion on the game, then I'm certainly going to go the money line route. And this one is, if you played it earlier, if you played the Tigers earlier, you got 145 or 150, which is certainly an acceptable money line price. It's gotten a little bit high. So this is one where if you're going on the Tigers side, I think -1 is probably the way to go, where you're playing half the money line and half the runs line.
Without further ado, we'll keep things moving here. Going to be a quick show this evening. Hanwha Eagles, Lotte Giants, pretty much going to be the same story that we're going to keep talking about every single day. So if it's okay, we won't spend too much time on this, but we will kind of look into and say, I want to bring up something. And Greg Peterson, a guy out in Vegas, running a podcast on KBO as well. And, he brought up a good point because, there's a strategy. A lot of people say, and it's not really a strategy, but people talk about someone is due for a win. I hate hearing that expression. And someone said that to him. And he said, well, one thing to keep in mind, especially with this Hanwha team right now, is that they have, first of all, a new coaching staff, but new players. So he's considering it a whole brand new losing streak now, which was a very good way of looking at it. I like the way he was looking at it because realistically, the team is on a big losing streak. But now it's just these new guys are also on a new losing streak as well. And that's a good way of putting it, because the old guys that were on their losing streak, they're not even there anymore. So it's new group of players that are now also developing a losing streak. And right now, I mean, I'm just not going to argue with fading them. And even looking at the pitching matchup to this point, it once again favors Lotte at a pretty reasonable price.
Well, yeah, and the Giants have won 5 in a row, so they're feeling good about themselves right now. The price of this one is not surprisingly going up. It's now as high as 205. The low is 180. So it's all Giants money, and how do you argue against that? 16 straight losses for the Eagles, all of them by 2 or more runs, all of them. So if you've just been runs lining against this team, you're up a ton. I don't see any reason it doesn't continue. I mean, they're going to win one sooner or later. That's the due to angle, as you mentioned. But you can use that on anything. I'm due to sleep with a 10. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Right?
Hey, I'm due to finally golf par, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So
might be never on both.
Show me some confidence, Dave. Come on. Doosan Bears NC Dinos. This one here, I had some rage with this one because, I saw a decent amount of people that were on Doosan here, and I ended up with the over with my clients in this one. I couldn't get one more run out of the Dinos. The amount of runs they've been scoring, Dave, I couldn't get one more out of them to cash my over ticket. Hats off to the Bears. And, what I was saying yesterday about Racinski kind of came to fruition. A team that's great on the road, like the Bears, continue to put up runs on the road.
And he had a bad game. He just didn't have command.
And now Wright is on the mound here for the Dinos, guy that I've had success backing. Look, I'm going to go right back to this team at a bounce back spot here at the around minus 110 spot on the run line here. I like the spot for the Dinos.
Well, the Bears lived up to what they've been doing all year, which is you want to play on them after a loss. They have been absolutely amazing off a loss. They just don't lose 2 in a row. Great road numbers. They've won all 5 of their road series this year. They're 11-6 overall on the road. Dinos are 5-1 off a loss. They haven't lost many, but they've bounced back. They've only had one losing streak, if you want to call it that, of 2 games. So the pitching edge does go to the Dinos side here, but I'm leery of laying a price. This was why I didn't play it yesterday. I mean, I thought the Dinos had the better pitcher, and Alcantara's numbers were a little bit phony, but he'd won 5 in a row. But I didn't lay it because this Bears team just doesn't lose 2 in a row. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. I don't want to bet against the Dinos because I think they've got the edges in this game. But the Bears on the road have been Grizzly Bears, and I don't want to lay a price into them. So this is a game I'm just going to skip.
Yeah, I can understand that. But the way I'm looking at it is just in general, the prices that we've been forced to lay on the runs line. That's why I've been advising people if they can to grab a team total. Now we're seeing a decent price here on the run line, at least something that's a little bit lower than what we've been seeing. But great point. Bears off a loss continue to be successful. Kiwoom Heroes, Samsung Lions. That one, I gotta say, that one was kind of a shocker to me. We look at what they were able to do. Like we said, the Joker on the mound, and that's a term that I like to use. And obviously, we hear run support in baseball, but I like to use that term a lot. Goal support in hockey when I'm handicapping that. And to me, that's just a wash. I mean, that's just one of those things where I backed a great pitcher and the team didn't show up. The opposition played well, but we've learned over the past week that Samsung is going to win low-scoring games. Yeah. They're going to be involved. And so that's why, for me, looking at some of these teams and looking at certain games, speaking to a few other people in the betting community, and, you've been involved in it for so long, Dave, that's why I've heard that a lot of people, when they research and they handicap, they will, in fact, go for a total and a side in the same game. Just like how in UFC, a lot of people, if they think a guy's going to win by decision or by knockout, they're on the under 2.5 and this guy to win. And, I think that would have been a great spot yesterday. Easier to say it now that it's already over, obviously.
Well, yeah, but with the Lions, it makes some sense. If you think they're going to win the game, you might want to play it with the under. That's a correlated parlay because when they win, it's their pitching that gets it done for them. And this morning was a very good example. Choi, who had not been good and was really destroyed in his first start off the disabled list, he pitched a gem against a good offense. He was just outstanding. Jokic pitched a good game. 2 of the runs were unearned. There was a critical error that hurt him. And then the bullpen gave up a run late. But, it's just one of those games. That's why they don't give you the money when you make the bet. You have to win it. Today's game, or tomorrow's game, the Heroes sending a pitcher who's been okay lately. This Troy he's had 3 straight quality starts. His earlier start against the Lions was kind of a strange one. He gave up 4 runs in 7 1/3 innings, but only 2 of those were earned, and only 4 base runners, 4 hits, and no walks in that game. So he actually pitched a good game, and just he got hurt by his defense and wasn't the luckiest in the game. But he's in pretty good form. Kim going for the Lions, and he has not done well. 21 innings, 19 hits, 10 runs. And 11 walks and 8 strikeouts is a troubling stat. He's had some good fortune. The FIP, which is to me more accurate than ERA, is 6.36. So you would expect the Heroes to bounce back with some good offense in this game. And if they get the good offense, that should be enough for a pitcher who's in good form to get them to win. High price on this one. So this goes back to the stats in this league. 126 of 156 games decided by 2 or more runs. I would go Heroes. If you're going to play Heroes here, you go the -1.5.
Definitely agree. Good bounce back spot. Another great pitcher on the mound, but also another pretty rough pitcher on the other end. Apologies to Cortland Williams, Mike, Daniel. Apologies for the early start. This will not be a consistent thing, just a today thing. And it really only was about 10 minutes before. So not too much of a difference. And just in case most people don't know this, I'm sure we all should know, but the videos are archived. So, this is not the only time you can catch this show. And I had someone yesterday in the comment section ask when you can get in the comment section, the live chat box. Well, you have to tune in when the video is going live, most days at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And that's how you can chat with us. So a lot of people are waiting until about, 11 o'clock at night Eastern time to check out these videos. If you want to ask Dave or myself a question, tune in live during the video. Yeah,
just for the sake of convenience, since we had to start early today, we'll recap the opinions at the end of the show. For you guys that are on live right now, we don't want to make you have to wait to check the archive. So we'll just quickly recap the opinions once we're done. We've still got the doubleheader to look at between the Wyverns and Twins. With the Wednesday game being postponed, they will play 2. And it looks like Pinto, who was scheduled to start the Thursday game, will now start the first game of the doubleheader against Lee, and then they'll go with Kim versus Lim in the nightcap. And in the first game, Pinto has been very erratic. 34 2/3 innings, 18 walks, 22 strikeouts, and a lot of hits as well, 41 hits. So he is not one of the foreign pitchers that has done well. His record's 3-2, and his ERA is okay, but he really hasn't pitched good baseball. Not a guy I have a lot of confidence in. I would actually look at this one from this standpoint. I'm going to root for the Wyverns in the first game, and if they win the first game, I'm going to back the Twins runs line in the second game. If nothing happens, if the Twins win the first game, I'll probably just stay out of the second game, or maybe take a shot with the Wyverns at a price, because the second game pitching matchup is certainly one that's not particularly attractive, and there could be some runs in that game.
Yeah, you can sign me up to grab the under in the first one and possible, cheering on the Wyverns. And if things go that way in that direction, I'm going to look in the exact same mindset that Dave is, but also the over as well, depending on how the Twins play in their first game of the doubleheader. We see it all the time in the majors, and now we see opportunity here. And this is probably the first. I don't know if we've seen too much of this so far, Dave, in this league, but last night I was getting a little bit worried about, a lot of the games being canceled, but this is the one that was really mainly postponed. So, Dave, maybe if you don't mind, just like you said, just recap a few of the spots that you're on.
Yeah,
I know for myself, I really will be looking to back the Twins in the second spot of that doubleheader.
In the first game on the schedule, Tigers Wiz, the Wiz 6 straight losses there, and a bad slump right now. Their offense is kind of gone to sleep. Tigers would have the pitching edge tonight, and I think you can make a case for a -1 in that game where you play half the runs line and half the money line. The Wyverns Twins we just went over. Eagles and Giants, not much to say. The Eagles have lost 16 in a row. You want to back them? Good luck. The Giants with a 5-game winning streak, they're a big price here. So but bear in mind, all 16 of the Eagles' losses, and in fact their last 18 losses overall, it might be 19, have all been by 2 or more runs. So that kind of tells you what to do with that game. Bears and Dinos, I think we had maybe a minor disagreement here. I'm not on the game, but I kind of lean Bears in terms of the value. I think you like the Dinos a little bit more, but I don't think you were really strong on it either, Andrew.
No. I just I saw Wright and the way he performed last outing, and I liked it. I think that people the way he performed before that, it wasn't great, and he wasn't pitching great stuff. But like I said, I'm kind of a more of a recent form. What have you done for me lately kind of guy, and I like what I saw out of him, and we'll see what he can do in this one. I really like Kiwoom to bounce back. It's not a great price, Dave.
No, this is one that where you've got to play it, you just go runs line and hope it's not a 1-run game.
Yeah.
But they really do look like they're in a bounce back spot here against the Lions. And as we mentioned when talking about the game, if you like the Samsung side, you probably want to pair it with the under because that's what happens in most of their games that they win. They win with their pitching. They don't have a good pitcher on the mound in this game. Another
play I'll be on is the Lotte Giants team total over. Going to be grabbing that. Hanwha is not only losing games, but losing by plenty of margin. And looking at that Kia game, like you said, I like that as well. KT just not scoring right now. I mean, they can't produce, and their pitching is horrible. And like you said, we're going to see a lot of guys out of them. So for all of you guys, Anthony, Mike, Corlin, Daniel, appreciate you guys tuning in. Shorter show today, but very loyal comments and very loyal viewership. Let's cash some winners for tomorrow morning. We'll see you right back here, regular time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. For Dave Cokin, I'm Andrew McInnis. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good luck, everybody.